These beautiful slouchy beanies are fairly quick to make. They are also easy to adjust to feel just right in your head. The stitch we are using is my favorite that I use a lot, the V-stitch. I'm Tuula and I'm making new crochet and knitting tutorials regularly. If you are not following me yet, please consider subscribing. And now let's get on with this tutorial. We are first going to make the ribbing, so this goes back and forth this way, right round. And then when that's done, we pick up the stitches from the side of the ribbing and start working on the V-stitches all the way here, and then we finish off at the top of the head. The way we are working, you can use different weights of yarn, but in one beanie you need to have the same weight of yarn. This here one is Aran weight, and I'm now going to work with double knitting weight yarn. You need about 2.5 balls of yarn. This here weighs about 120 grams, so that's 2.5 balls, or a bit over 4 ounces of yarn. And I'm using an ergonomic hook, size 4mm, but use a hook that goes well with your yarn and your way of working. You can check out in the notes where you can get these here hooks. I use them a lot. Let's start with the ribbing. First a slip knot, and then I'm going to chain 13. Now that I'm using a double knitting weight yarn. In the other hat I had 12 because it's slightly thicker. You can use either, so chaining 13. Speeding it up now. Okay. And then single crochets. Using single crochets in the American sense, it's double crochets if you're using British terms. So not that first one there, but the next one. A single crochet there. And into every stitch as you go. So the whole row single crochets. I now have 12 single crochets on this row, and you should have one less than the number of chains you started. And keep that number in mind. In the beginning of the work, it's worth counting the stitches on each row to make sure that the ribbing stays the same width. Then chain 1 and turn, and starting with the stitch in front of you, make a single crochet into the back loop of it. So not the one closest to you here, but the back. This is needed to form the ribbing. Each stitch a single crochet into the back loop, and count that you'll get the right number. So I will need to have 12. Here's 11, and then you need to find it at the very end of it. There's one more stitch here. Like that. And again, chain 1 and turn, and continuing the same way, single crochet into the back loop. Until the end of the row. Here I have a row 12, chain, turn and continue. And this is all there is to the ribbing, so you continue this until it's long enough. I'll work a while on this now, and then I'll explain how to calculate the length you need. Now I have done a bit, and see now that when you pull it, it stretches a bit. For the length, you can try it around your head after you get it longer, but I find that it's good to make it about 12 centimeters or 5 inches shorter than the measurement around the head. of whoever it is for. And that is measured when it's like this, not when you have stretched it like that. So you let it stay like this here and then measure it, and that's what should be about 12 centimeters less than the measurement around the head. After your ribbing is long enough, fold it into two, and then we are going to crochet together here. I have the two ends here, and then chain one at the end of that last row, and now we will join them using slip stitches. And again I'm taking the back loop of a stitch here, and then another one from the starting bit where we have a chain. So insert the hook into the first chain we had there, half of the chain, and a slip stitch. So yarn over and pull straight through all the loops. And continue like this. The next back loop here, and then the next stitch from the beginning chain, and slip stitches. Right like this till the end of this here row. That's it there. It doesn't show much. And now we will start the other part of the hat, the actual part that goes over your head. We are going to crochet it into this here side directly. You could now change the color. So if you do, then just take a different color and cut this yarn. I'm not changing color here. And to start the V-stitches, you first chain 4. Chain 4, then a yarn over, and we start in the first V-stitch, and I am inserting the hook every time into this here gap, sort of at the bottom of this here, not on this here ridge, but at the bottom. So insert the hook in there and make a stitch, and we continue as if it was a double crochet, but we only do half. So yarn over and through 2, but you stop here now for the V-stitch, and then we are starting a second double crochet straight away, yarn over and into the next gap between these two ridges, so in here, and working like a double crochet. And now that we have all these here loops, then yarn over and pull through them all. So that's the first part of the V-stitch. Then in between these we always chain 2. Chain 2, and then we start that stitch again. Yarn over, but now to get that V shape, we're starting by inserting the hook into the same place as the previous one, so right into the same hole, and again doing half of a double crochet, yarn over and into the next bit, so you see where it goes in here, and again continuing like in double crochets, but now that we have 3 loops, now we have a yarn over and pull through all of them there, and this is what we continue right round. Chain 2, yarn over, insert the hook into the same space as before, and make half of a double crochet, yarn over into the next, and there again now we have the 3 loops and we pull through them. So you see it's starting to make this sort of the typical V-stitch shape, and you continue like this until you come back to the start. And once we get there, we'll look at how we finish this round and start the next. So always chain 2, then into the same here, and start a second double crochet without finishing the first, and again, and then continues chaining 2. Here I am close to the end of this round. I have the 2 chains there, and continue here the stitch into the same stitch as last, and then the last bit where we can have a stitch, and finishing off that one, and then to finish off the round, chain 2 and attach that to the chain we started with, and using a slip stitch there. And now that you look at your round you just finished, you see that there are more stitches here where we have the V stitches like this here, and how it should be, because when you are wearing the hat this here will stretch. And then we'll continue. Make a slip stitch into the space in front of the hook and chain 4 to start. And now we're starting to make the V-stitches into these holes that were left on the first round of V-stitches. And first into the same where we just started from. And then the next double crochet goes into the next space. And finishing that off. Chain 2 and into this here same space and into the next, and those together. And this is how it continues, actually the whole hat except the decreases at the very end. Like that. I'll do one more. Chain 2, starting a double crochet in the same space, leaving it there, and starting another one and into the next space, and then crocheting those together there, and then it continues again, chain 2 and so on. Now I'll do this round to the end and then we'll look again how we start the next round. Here we are, and this round we are on now is the one you will keep repeating. So let's look how the finishing of this goes again. 2, chain 2, and then the stitches. One more time, chain 2 and start a double crochet into this here last space. And now we would normally make a double crochet into the next space, but that's where we have the chain. So now we are attaching this to the chain. Insert the hook into the third stitch in that there chain and pull the yarn through that as well as the other 2 loops on the hook. So this is what it looks like then when you finish. And this is now what you keep doing all the way until we need to start decreasing. I'll give you the measurements in a second, but I'm starting the next round now just the same way we started this one. So make a slip stitch into that space, the first space in the round, and chain 4 and then we start the V-stitches. Yarn over into this here same space and into the next one, and now these together. Chain 2 and the next one, just as we have been doing. So this is just what we repeat over and over. And then again chain 2. For an average size ladies beanie, this here bit from where the V-stitches start until where you are starting decreases needs to be 15 centimeters or 6 inches. So this here bit that we are working on right now, 15 centimeters or 6 inches. So now just continue as we have been doing until you get to about there. You can change colors as many times as you like, but the patterning we are doing with the stitches, the V-stitch, stays the same, and the amount of stitches doesn't change either. So I'll do that bit there now. Now we have enough to start decreasing. I needed 13 rounds of V-stitches to get to this, but it depends on your yarn and how tight you crochet. The next round is the first round of decreases. It starts the same way, slip stitch into the first space and chain 4. And also the next two things are the same. So a starting double crochet into that space and the next one. But now we continue, and instead of 2 we'll have 3. So you have 3 of these double crochets that haven't been finished. And to decrease, take a yarn over and pull the yarn through all of these at the same time. And then just the same, chain 2, and then we'll do it again, 3 stitches, 2 and a third one. So again we have 3 of these, which makes 4 loops on the hook, and then a yarn over and through all of these. So it quickly starts to decrease. And this is how you continue. Chain 2, and it's the same, you put the first one into the same one that you had in the last stitch. 1, 2 and 3. And now yarn through all of them. Again chain 2 and 3 of these V-stitch bits. There, and yarn through, and so on. So like this right round. Now this is the end of this here round. Because we don't have a specific number of stitches, but it depends on your yarn and the size of your ribbing, you may not have 3 at the end. So if you have just 2, it doesn't matter. So if you don't have 3, you may have just 2, that's fine. Or if you only have 1, then you can put 4 together. This is my last one now. And then 2, and the last stitch will just be 1 normally, and finishing the round. And we see that it's already starting to go like this quite quickly. But in order not to decrease too quickly, the next round will be ordinary. So you just make it exactly as we did for the main part. Ordinary V-stitches with 2 stitches put together, chain 2, and then just right always to the next one. So this round goes like this here. And so on. That round done, and then the next one goes like the previous one, so that we'll always make 3 stitches and that decreases. So starting with 4 chain stitches and then on to 3. Second one and third one, and now this decreases very quickly, then now we don't have that many stitches left after this round. Chain 2 and again 3, third one, and pull through them and continue like that round. Okay, after this round not much left to do. And now the next round will be a normal one again. So just like before, a round of ordinary V-stitches. I did that, and then the last actual round again decreasing, so that you always take 3 at the same time. It's a bit hard now you need to turn it a lot. 1, 2 and 3. So it really pulls it in now. And go on like that until you come to the start of the round again. I'm showing you first what it looks like when you finish that round, approximately, again depending on how many you started with. And the way I'm going to finish this is to have 2 chains that go across, a chain of 3, and attach one there, and then from there till here, and then finish it off. I'll show you what I mean. Chain 3 and go across it there and slip stitch and chain 3, and then see where there's a good place, so not to the start of the round but around here, and attach it there. So that sort of ties up the end of it. I'll put my hand inside it so you can see what it looks like now. That's those chains there. And then just finish off the yarn, and that's it. And there we are, it's finished. If you want it to be even slouchier, you can lengthen this bit before the decreases. We had this at 15 centimeters, so you could have 18, even 20, if you want it sort of hanging longer. If you have enjoyed this tutorial, please subscribe to my channel so you will also see my next tutorials. And I'm sure that your new hat is keeping your head warm. Bye!